Star Citizen's February roadmap is here, detailing all the epic stuff we can expect in the game in 2023. Well, maybe not exactly. When they initially described the February roadmap reveal, I was expecting to see a detailed write-up of all the cool things that they were going to try and get into the game this year. But it seems that CIG is following their new policy to remove the long-term goals from the progress tracker release view, as players were getting upset when deadlines were missed. So instead, we're getting a very reduced version of the roadmap, and honestly, I gotta say this update sort of feels like someone forgot to do their homework and threw something together in the last 10 minutes before it was due. The information given here is pretty minimal, which is annoying because they seem pretty comfortable speaking about the goals for the year in most other formats, whether it's a letter from the chairman or CitizenCon or Inside Star Citizen or Star Citizen Live, but then they don't put that info into a chart where players can access that data in an easy to read format. Instead, you gotta sift through the more expanded progress tracker hoping that it's up to date and look at old forum posts and YouTube videos and try and piece together an idea of what's really planned for this year. Now, this February roadmap update is at least giving us some short-term info about what to expect. Patch 3.18, which is still in PTU testing, is now being extended for another cycle. That's not to say that it's going to be in PTU testing for a whole nother cycle, but rather that they're anticipating needing an extra patch cycle to further refine the update once it launches and collect data from its larger deployment. Obviously, this news is disappointing, but kind of predictable. Patch 3.18's new persistent tech, which honestly is worth the wait, also kind of broke just about every single aspect of the game, and the bugs are extensive. Plus, the long-term effects of persistence are almost certainly going to inject even more issues into the game that we still don't know about. So the next patch after 3.18 won't be rolling out until before Invictus launch week, which means probably around May or something like that. That patch, 3.19, will tentatively bring the Lorville rework, which is a total overhaul of the first major landing zone in Star Citizen. It'll bring a new player experience initiative designed to make the first 30 minutes of playing the game less confusing, new salvage mission contracts to help expand the salvage gameplay further, and a new Ghost Hollow PvP mission experience. Things like persistent hangars, bounty hunting updates, or even the recently discussed Arena Commander updates, which are expected to be coming this year, are not listed here, so I guess we shouldn't expect that content in the first half of the year, or maybe they just forgot to mention it. Part of me still feels that this very simplistic roadmap update isn't particularly detailed, and I would imagine smaller, lesser known about, or hidden updates will emerge over time. They even kind of allude to this in the post, saying, "Due to some format changes to the data we use for Progress Tracker, our update for both upstream and downstream teams in 2023 needs a bit more time to get sorted. You can expect these updates to come in subsequent publishes." Basically them saying, there's more to this, but we just didn't have time to get it organized for the post. Now, out of the things that were listed for 3.19, the Ghost Hollow PvP experience sounds like it'll be the most fun to me. I feel Star Citizen's gameplay is still the best when there's PvP opportunities, and I think we need more events that provide those. Ghost Hollow is really a cool location, and frankly, I've only been there a handful of times, and it was running missions that I wouldn't normally do just so I could see the location. So having more excuses to use this location is welcome. Players will be encouraged to fight over control terminals for a large payout, and it sounds like even AI will be thrown into the mix. And forced PvP will be interesting for sure, anything to change up the somewhat stale Jumptown gameplay. Now, the new player experience update that they're working on sounds great. Obviously not particularly interesting to veterans, but the game has been in desperate need of a built-in onboarding experience. It does sound like it's coming before some of the other major UI overhauls, so it's possible the new player experience will require considerable updates as the game changes with new interfaces, but anything to make the learning curve, well, more curvy is welcome. Fun fact, Star Citizen did used to have a flying tutorial, but it just got super outdated and then they removed it entirely. I hope this new player experience system doesn't take too much work to actually keep it relevant. Now, the Lorville rework, which they've been showing off in various Inside Star Citizens, Does sound cool from the eye candy perspective, but generally speaking, there still aren't many reasons to visit major landing zones on the reg, so I can't say that I'm super excited about this part of the update. These salvage missions do sound cool and necessary. Salvage is one of the new gameplay loops coming in 3.18, but there isn't really any sort of way to get into salvage without knowing exactly where you need to go to find the wrecks. So these new missions should offer a better and more consistent way of salvaging and learning about salvaging. I feel like mining could also use the exact same type of mission introductory system. Now for the immediate future, patch 3.18 hitting live is still by far the most exciting update for the year, and this might sound a little underwhelming on the surface, but 3.18 really is worth the wait in my opinion. In fact, now that I've put some real hours into playing on the test servers with the new persistent system, where ships, bodies, and loot all persist indefinitely, I'm finding it very hard to go back to the old universe. The old 3.17 universe feels static by comparison, and the cool emergent activities in 3.18 multiply the gameplay opportunities massively. Also, because 3.18 is bringing the new Gen 12 render system, I would expect a lot of performance improvement updates between its release and the next major updates as they progress towards Vulkan. These would probably be some of those things that weren't mentioned on the progress tracker for the 3.19 update. Now, a concern with all of this news is that the initial delay of this year, with 3.18 taking so long to get out the door and pushing patch 3.19 back to almost the midpoint of the year, means that the amount of things that are allegedly coming in 2023 seem like they're getting crammed into a much tighter launch window, which likely means some of them probably won't be making it out this year. Bounty hunting updates, persistent hangars, new EVA mechanics, arena commander updates, star map updates, and dare I even mention server meshing and pyro, those items feel less and less likely to be seen this year as the extremely slow start to 2023 continues. But who knows, maybe this February roadmap update really is kind of misleading and that there's actually a ton of hidden, not mentioned features that will be coming before and during 3.18 and 3.19 updates. Of course, I wish the developers lots of luck with the 3.18 live launch, and I hope that they are able to crack down on those remaining problems as fast as possible. I'm very excited for this live launch and to start rebuilding my reputation and arsenal of weapons and gear after everyone's character is wiped. I think the content and cool things that will come from 3.18 are going to reflect the next stage of evolution for this game, and I am absolutely ready for it. Let me know your thoughts on 2023 and Star Citizen. Do you have high hopes, or are you playing it safe and keeping your expectations in check? Also, go watch this video next, where I show off every single firearm in Star Citizen. They're pretty cool and way more detailed than you might think. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.